most magicians don't have the balls to even punch a dude, let alone take somebody out.
He walked the entire room.
Dad did a music album?
Yeah.
It's the Johnny O Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Johnny O Podcast. Tonight, I welcome Nathan Tricky Allen. Full legal name.
Full legal name.
Full legal name.
You can change your name to anything you want in Iowa for like $190.
Oh, don't tell me that because my wife went. All right, so we met when I briefly owned a club. You are a comedian and magician. Your show is fantastic. Loved it.
Thank you.
I wanted to have you on for several reasons. One, because you're a great magician, comedian, and your show is awesome. I'd love to talk about that and the beginnings of that. But I brought you on, which a little later I want to bring up. When we booked, you had your EPK kit, electronic press kit, was phenomenal. And I want to talk about that because we talked in private about it the night of that show or whenever, how many months ago that was, half a year ago. But so many people need to look at what you do and figure it out because there's so many people that are talented, but they don't have that. And as a guy that books music, comedians, well, anything, wedding, bridal shows, whatever, people come to me with their pitch. Can I be a part of this? It's something like that.
And you're like, who are you, though?
Yeah, who are you? Yeah, exactly. And you can only do so much with YouTube clips or whatever to find people, but
especially if they make you go hunting. And you find a random clip. Like, I don't have time to watch it. Just give me something 5 minutes or less.
And okay, so as a guy that books primarily bands for a living, 90% don't have that. And I'm not going to name names, but there was one band I recently booked. The guy reached out, and they're a cover band, very good cover band. But man, I had to dig, and to find the stuff. And if he would have had his fingertips, most people won't take the time to dig.
No,
I probably get 50 emails a day of bands wanting to get booked, comedians, whatever. And if you make it so easy that I just click on a link in the email and I can see your YouTube and like yours was, that's super important. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's tell me about you. Tell me your bio. So you
I don't know.
No, you said
I had it written. I don't have it memorized. That's why I have that link you can click on.
Yeah, it's a good link. But part magician, part comedian.
Yeah.
What came first?
The egg. The magician part did. I started doing magic shows when I was a kid, and I just slowly evolved into a smartass on stage, which I guess when people are laughing, that's comedy.
That works.
I guess. So
hell yeah, it works.
I totally fell into it backwards.
So when I was a kid, I had one of those magic kits where it's like the egg thing, and it's like, oh look, there's an egg, and then you reach your fingers up a little more, and then the egg's gone.
Oh, the vase thing.
The vase thing, yeah. Is that how you started?
Yeah, that's that same stuff. Yeah,
yeah. I had that
little toy plastic magic kits, and actually my first couple of shows when I was 12 years old still included some of those toy plastic magic kits.
Yeah, well, so
it was really bad.
But I'm going to see. Okay, so I'm going to warn you when we do this podcast, I get off track, but I have to tell the story. I was I went to Mankato, Minnesota one year to go to the Minnesota Vikings training camp, and the hotel I was staying in had a strip club attached to it, like literally.
Good.
So I get there, I didn't know. So there was a gal.
Wait, was there a bowling alley in that building too?
There might have been.
I think I worked that club.
It's Mankato, Minnesota.
Yes, Mankato, yeah.
And the strip club had food too, which I never understood people eating at a strip club, but they had a buffet. So anyway, I'm done with training camp.
That'd be a good name for a strip club, the buffet.
The buffet.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law and my son are with me, and he had no interest going. I'm like, all right. So they're hanging in the hotel room. I'm like, all right. So I go in there. Did not get the buffet because I didn't trust it. But there was a gal in there, and she was literally from Australia, and she was touring, and her stick was she was a magician stripper.
Okay.
And the reason I bring it up is the kit that we're talking about when we were 10, 12, with the stick that turns into flowers.
That's the shit she was doing.
That was the shit she was doing.
I bet it was really entertaining.
It was. It was comical.
Did you get her EPK?
She didn't have one. Yeah, she had some nice posters. Like she had merch and stuff. So, because as like we were talking, I'm a marketing and advertising guy, so I watch merch, and like that's another thing. People don't have merch. Bring something to sell. You know what I mean? Yeah, see it. Look at. But it was the kit literally we're talking about with the egg and the wand that turns into flowers. But then she stripped, and then it's like, oh well, okay. But yeah, she traveled from Australia, and she had a tour. Like she had tour dates on the poster from the strip club she was going to. So see, so that's how I get off on a tangent. Like, oh yeah, but it reminded me
it's just
that
a detour. We'll come back to that.
But anyway, back. So 12 years old, you're doing magic. And then you were just, like you said, a smart ass on stage. And
I started heckling myself. I mean, by the time I was like 16, I had done a lot of shows. I grew up in Northeast Iowa in the Decorah Postville area. So like every time there was a church festival or a school assembly or a fundraiser or a county fair, a library show, I was there. So I just kind of started to get burnt out, believe it or not, by my mid-teens, and I started heckling myself in my head, and then sometimes those heckles would come out while I was holding a microphone, and people laughed. And if people laughed, I found out they have a better time. They enjoy the show more.
Did you live in Decorah, Iowa?
Postville. I grew up in Postville.
Okay, yeah. My brother-in-law
before the big immigration. Years
remember
ago.
that?
Yeah. Yes,
my brother-in-law.
Helicopters. Yes, I do.
My brother-in-law, who was at training camp with me, who did not go to the gentleman's club. He stayed back and watched football films with my son. He was a police officer in Decorah from the time he got out of the academy to the time he was chief of police there.
Well, I'm sure we've met in one way or I lived in Decorah for a number of years.
Did
also.
You? Yeah,
I'm sure I've met.
What a small world, though. It's just funny, because the big joke was he retired a couple of years ago, and I always said we go on vacation in Minnesota, and when we go through Decorah to get there, when he retired, I'm like, it pisses me off. Now I can't go 100 miles an hour, and just if I get pulled over, say, do you know who I am? Yeah. So anyway, you 16 years old, you said you're getting burned out. You start getting in your head, not voices in your head.
That's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, any entertainer will tell you, when you're going through when you're singing your lyrics or going through your lines, you're also thinking, what should I order for dinner tonight?
Really?
I mean, it's just, it's a little bit of a disconnect emotionally. I mean, it's the most present I ever am in my life when I'm on stage, but also like that's not really me, it's like an out of body experience. Does that make sense? Or am I psycho?
No, that 100% makes sense. Like when we do this podcast, sometimes when I always listen to it back and I think I don't even remember that part of it. You know what I mean? It's like we're talking, but there will be parts like I don't even remember saying that because it's like I don't know how to describe it, but it for me, I love talking to people. When I started this, the whole thing was I had this great business, Top Billing Entertainment. I met so many cool people, and I always wanted to do a podcast. And it wasn't until me and Zills met, and he had the studio, and I said, "Whoa, we should do a podcast." You know what I mean? Because then I bring people on that I meet, like you, interesting people and people I worked with, and we have such interesting conversations in a green room or at the bar after the show. And I thought I want to take these conversations, to hear. So I
that's
enjoy
how
it
Joe
so
Rogan
much.
started too, just having chats in a green room.
Yeah,
at the clubs.
Well, I think it was at his house. He said, like originally, it was just like the very beginning. Yeah, but and this podcast is just climbing up to almost second to his. Right, Zills? We're like one listen away.
What category is it?
We categorize it a weird way. People that get disappointed when it's not that. It has to do with feet and fetishes and stuff like that. But
is that way we both have our feet in the shot?
That's kind of, you have to have it in the shot. But so you don't have to disclose your age, but you said 25 years of experience.
41, so I guess.
Okay, 41. This
is my 29th year, I guess.
Really? Yeah. So
I thought I'd be further than Dubuque, fucking Iowa at this point.
but you've done some bigger.
At this rate, by the time I hit retirement age, I'll be in Kansas City. Almost Vegas. Yeah.
Maybe Farley. But no, I'm watching it, and 25 years, and again, I'm 51, you're 41. When I saw 25 years, I thought, man, he had to start young. And you said, what about 10?
12.
12.
Did my first paid show when I was 12. I got $10 plus a piece of cake.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know.
Was it a birthday party? Or
Yeah, it was a birthday party. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't get the cake anymore, but
No, yeah.
sometimes there's other offers.
I don't know what you mean.
Free tissues in the green room.
Yeah. So, did you ever have a show that you would say was that was like a big moment show? Or tell me about your shows, like all over the United States, because I looked at your bio. You have been all over.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
I've been lucky like that. Like a show that stands out, not really. Yes, but not for the onstage experiences. It's for everything else that went on. Some of them I can't talk about in public. And if you're listening and you know about these, you know who you are. But one, I did a inaugural gala for an Iowa governor. I don't want to say which one, but Tom Arnold was the MC.
Sure,
and,
he's an Iowa guy.
Yeah, Al Green was the headliner that night.
Al Green.
Yeah,
Al Green. Help me with Al Green. Why does that sound familiar? He wasn't the one that got canceled, who became a senator and then pretending he was beeping someone's boobs or something?
Different Green. No, singer, probably from the 60s, 70s.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't think of any of the song titles. Jamie, look that up. But that was cool because me and the juggler that I had subcontracted for that show stole some of Tom Arnold's pizza from his dressing room when he was on stage introducing one of the acts.
Oh boy!
Yeah.
And then did that turn into a thing or no?
No, we didn't tell him.
Yeah, yeah. Tom Arnold didn't.
He's a little high strung. I don't want to get him too
he
worked
is.
up.
No, yeah. I mean, obviously I don't know Tom Arnold, but from everything I know about him, he seems high strung.
Pretty high strung. Very nice guy, but little high strung.
Yeah. Have you worked with any other what you would call bigger celebrities or?
Well, I worked one time, and it was just kind of a happenstance, and I was the opening act this night, but there was this girl from Australia who would do magic tricks.
She was awesome, I bet.
But then she took her clothes off.
And then you were like, well, now no one gives a shit what I do.
That's why I was the opening act. I can't follow that.
I wish I could think of that club name. I should. Yeah. I should look it up and then go back about 8 years and do the math. I'm sure it was on their Facebook page at the time that she was going to be
check
there.
your Google Maps history.
Yeah. I don't know how far back that goes. I went to a flip phone for a little bit when I had a midlife crisis. So, yeah.
What year was that? Just so I...
You're coming up on it.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, 38, though. I was 38, 39.
Oh, I haven't gone through that yet.
Yeah, it was just minor. Yeah, I was just like, fuck the world, and I got a flip phone, and I had to get readers about the same week because the screen was so small. There's a picture of me out there, like, reading it at a bar, and someone took a picture. It's brutal. Yeah. So, all right. Well, so you make a living at it. So you're making a good living at it, and you're out doing shows.
I wouldn't say good living, but
hey, everybody's making a living if you're doing what you love, right?
Most of the bills are paid some of the times.
Yeah, so that's perfect. Yeah, but you love what you do, right?
Oh yeah. So it doesn't feel like work usually.
Yeah, I mean honestly, like I've told the story a couple times on here, but I worked in the corporate world until I was 38.
Well, no wonder you had that crisis.
Yeah, and when I was 38, I mean, I'm working 80 hours a week, and I had a minor stroke when I was 38, and then I had my little midlife crisis. I was going through a divorce, blah 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 blah, and then I was like, fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore. And you go from having a good job, benefits, everything to but I worked my way back up. It took several years, but I've never been happier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because and I'm getting to the point where I'm crotchety. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like if I had to walk into a conference room and some guy, especially if they were younger than me, was like busting my balls or being a dick to me, I know I'd just be like, fuck off. You know what I mean? I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So.
I have to deal with that because if I'm in a conference room, I'm usually there for a private party show.
Yeah, well, and that's a little different, but you're still.
So I have to deal with their bullshit.
Yeah, but you're still, well, and okay, so I should say there is times where I would say with my booking business, there's times where I'm dealing with bands that a band member or a tour manager or something's being a dick.
Trying to be.
You know what? I don't even put
diva
up with.
shit.
I don't even put up with it then.
Probably 20 years ago, I used to have a small entertainment booking agency, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And bands were always a pain in the ass because they didn't pay me my commission on time. And comedians were always a pain in the ass because you don't know if they're going to show up that night.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I had one set of comedians that I had booked for a 4-night run in southern Minnesota, and they called me 4 hours prior to the first show on the first night. They were from St. Louis, so they should have been checked into their local hotel already. Hey, man, we're not going to make it tonight. Left me with 4 hours to find replacement acts for the next 4 nights.
And 4 nights. One's hard enough.
It wasn't just a one-off. It was a 4-night run.
4-night runs. That's hard enough. But one thing I've learned too, like you said, bands were hard to get your commission out of. Man, that 10% deposit, like nowadays.
I had to switch to that.
Yeah. No, I can't. Well, I never used to do a deposit until it really got hardcore after COVID. Because before COVID, everyone would book and they'd get paid, but then all of a sudden COVID hit and no one had their deposits. Shows got canceled.
Yep.
And when we came out of COVID, everyone's like, no, I need the booking agent normally gets 10%. And so they get their 10% deposit sent to them. And now like it's in the contract. They want it, 30 to 45 days in advance. And I even got some, and normally I don't do more than 10, but I got some bands where it's like, okay, I know they're going to show up. I know it's safe. And they want 50%, 30 days in advance type thing. So, yeah, but it's, and I know some other booking agents too that have vocally went online and called out a band like, hey, don't have my deposit yet or my whatever.
That's a little unprofessional. I don't think
it is, but if you get fucked out of thousands of dollars, maybe it's time to call the band out, because they might just be moving from one to the other to the other. Yeah. And I've also had, so I'm the promoter and then their booking agents. I've had them where they screw me over too. Like here's our show, here's our contract. And then they'll cancel on me. And the same date they're across town or
they better deal to you.
Yeah, they better deal to you. Yeah. And
that's why deposits or reservation fees, I call them, are so important because it protects both parties. It keeps the club or venue, whatever, from backing out because they've got a vested interest in it. And it keeps the band from backing out because if they do so, then they have to refund all this money and.
Well, and one thing that I had a conversation with a band recently about, it kind of came up, but we ended up not having an issue. I'm like, we booked the show, we announced the show, and 2 days after we announced, they're like, hey, we don't have a good run, meaning they didn't have anchor dates.
It's not worth it for them. Yeah.
And I said, you realize that we are invested now in this. There's someone that put the internet stuff together. There's someone that put the ticketing together. So it's not like
there's a lot behind the scenes.
And sometimes they don't realize that, and that's unfortunate. And that's I'd love to teach a class to up and coming bands because there's great bands, but they don't.
But the entertainers that need it the most, you could never get to take that class
or listen. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you do? It's like, well, that's why I got out of booking other entertainers because the only entertainer, with very few exceptions these days, the only one I can trust is myself.
Yeah.
I mean, even people that I thought were like really good friends have screwed me over.
Have you ever used a booking agent for yourself? Like, hey. Yeah. You go book for me?
Yep.
Yeah. How's that work out for you?
It's most of them are casual. They're non-exclusive.
Yeah.
I had one exclusive for a while, but it didn't work out. He was also a comedian and has a pretty good business head on his shoulders, but he decided at some point that, well, doing entertainment, this business just isn't fun anymore. Well, you could have told me a year ago when we got into this agreement.
Yeah.
And he went back to his corporate cubicle job at Principal Financial or whatever the hell.
No, really? Yeah. See, and that's another
so
thing.
I can only trust myself.
Yeah. And one thing I do think is if and this is going to sound idiotic, but if I was a comedian, I'd almost have an alias.
Several people have done that.
Yeah,
where it's still you, but you've got a business card with your agent's name.
Yeah, and hey, this is so and so, and I'm for what I mean, just because because people can be easily fooled and think, well, this guy must be big time because he has an agent or whatever.
Not only that, but negotiations are easier too. I can negotiate for other people, not a problem. That's why I started doing that agency thing way back in the day to begin with. But I don't know if I've got like, what are they, imposter syndrome or whatever when it comes to myself. I have a hard time asking for the money that I'm worth. And I know I'm worth it because people have
paid you.
Paid me without blinking an eye, like even when I didn't want to do a gig, because it was in Dallas, Texas, and it was for a bunch of, well, it was in Plano actually, but it was for a bunch of, and don't take this personally, a bunch of marketing types.
Yeah,
like,
no, I don't take that personally.
I didn't want to do it because I just didn't. So I quoted them a ridiculous high rate for a 20-minute show, and they gladly paid 50% up front and process the rest on the credit card the day of, like, all right.
And what's funny about that is if you watch or listen to podcasts, comedians, even musicians, they hate the corporate gigs because you might be walking into someone's mansion.
Yeah.
And no one's paying attention, and it's, you know what I mean?
Well, the house parties like that, I totally dig.
Really?
They're always fun. Like some of my favorite private parties, like house parties, are like plastic surgeons and lawyers and stuff.
But I could see with yours because your act is so interactive. It's
I've got a leg up on that.
Yeah, but the guy just up there, hey, I'm going to do my shtick. Please listen.
I can see that.
And pay attention. Yeah, but with
30
you,
people in a big living room is.
But you are so interactive with the crowd. I think that actually that's perfect for a private gig like that.
100%.
Yeah.
And I just recently put together a kind of a close-up version of my show with a close-up version of a sound system. Everything for the show carries in a toolbox, including a sound system speaker that's built in, my props. So I literally have zero setup time, almost no space. Just give me a small table or a chair to set my prop thing on. Everything's already running. I've got a microphone that's wireless. The thing's battery operated. Don't have to plug anything in. So I can be in, do an hour show, and be out in 69 minutes total.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
for those very reasons, the house parties. Yeah.
And the house again, and I know you're in a great relationship. You said, but I imagine, man, if you weren't them drunk.
My 20s were cool.
That's what I'm getting at. Back in the day when they're like, oh, hey, comedian,
No, it's not that. Chicks love magic.
Yeah, do they? Well, so tell me, all right, let's talk about the magic. So did self-taught 100%? You were never...
Mostly.
You were never the guy that was on those late night infomercials with the mask that gave all the secrets away, were you?
No, that wasn't me. I've got a little bit more self-respect.
Do you remember that guy, though?
I remember that guy. We all know who it was when the first episode aired.
Oh, you actually knew who the guy was?
Val Valentino, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
He repainted some of his props, but we all recognized the builders, and we were able to backtrack.
Can you tell me about that? Tell me the backstory on that. I did not know anybody knew.
He was just a moderately sort of successful Vegas lounge act, from what I understand. He had actually some skills with this card and bird act, wearing a tuxedo and stuff. And then I guess, I don't know if Fox approached him or he approached Fox. The way he says it is they were just checking out different magicians, and if I hadn't taken it, then somebody else would have, because they were hell-bent on doing this.
But he had that weird mask. And
mask, so nobody could see who he was.
So okay, it's just funny because that was 20 years ago, probably. Maybe, I don't know.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, but I just remember it because it was come on in the late night, and it's just funny because I didn't know anybody knew who he was. I brought it up as a joke, kind of like, was that you? And then here it wasn't you, but
no.
But okay, so were magicians actually mad at that guy? Because he says I'm risking getting murdered, type of thing.
most magicians don't have the balls to even punch a dude, let alone take somebody out.
Yeah.
Maybe some of Copperfield's lawyers might, but
Yeah, because he said he was risking his life. So
yeah, well, definitely risking friends and acquaintances, that's for sure.
yeah.
I don't know. A lot of magicians were really mad. It didn't bother me at all because he was exposing shit that I didn't use.
Oh,
you know,
sure.
he's used all these off the shelf standard props like
The same thing that stripper was using.
Probably, yeah,
Yeah.
that or like the big box stuff. And I don't do the big box stuff. You know, I don't have a tiger.
Yeah.
I don't have 14
Jesus.
assistants that travel with me. You know, I do mostly original stuff with normal objects like a can of beer or a napkin or a salt shaker off the table in the front row or somebody's panties, you know, like normal things that are in the room. So I don't have these specialty magic props.
Is that someone's panties? Like, hey, take those off and bring them up here.
Well, that's not exactly how it goes, but yeah, I've done panty tricks. You know.
All right.
color changing panty trick. It was a bad idea. It was sick. It went from white to red, but it was.
Oh, boy.
It made me laugh.
Yeah, yeah. See, and I would laugh at that, but I have a different sense of humor. My wife always tells me it's not the same as most people. She's like, many a time she'll say, "Can you save that joke for your friends, please?" If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, can you?
Oh,
say,
Johnny. Oh no, not here, not
can
today.
you save that for your friends? So, let's talk. So, okay, 29 years you've been magic. So, let's talk magicians. Like, do you have idols or? I'm super.
No false idols, just myself.
Yeah, I'm just super interested because, like, you brought up David Copperfield, and when I was a kid,
Oh, he was a huge influence.
yeah, maybe not a kid, but I mean, it was. I was probably a teenager, but he made the Statue of Liberty disappear and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, he was a huge influence, that's for sure. Yeah.
what did he do with the Grand Canyon? He did something there too.
He levitated over the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. So, would you say you know how he did it or no?
Oh yeah.
I'm not asking you to divulge it.
Yeah, I do. And unfortunately, okay, so you get into magic, or a kid or even an adult gets into magic because you like being fooled. Seeing something magic and it just jaw on the floor just drops you on your ass. Fools you, and now you're into magic, and now you get into magic, and the longer you're in it, the more you learn. You read too many books, you meet too many people, you have too much experience. Now all of a sudden, being fooled like that, the thing that got you into it in the first place, is so exceedingly rare.
Oh,
Isn't that
to
a
get
sad
fooled.
story? Yeah.
It
We're always
actually is.
chasing that high, chasing that dragon.
Yeah. This is an odd. I don't know if it's a comparison, but 100 years ago, I was a grocery store manager.
Same thing, exact same thing.
And
Yeah,
this
yeah.
kid that worked for me,
Yeah.
did magic tricks.
Okay.
But then
Was he like pouring the old expired cartons of milk into a rolled up newspaper?
Weird, but he was good. But then I learned that he could count cards
Nice.
because he could do magic, count cards.
How old was he? Did you take him to the casino,
So-
Rain Man style?
Okay, so yes,
Right.
so I was like in my early 20s, and he was a very awkward kid because he was homeschooled his whole life. He never knew like he was, and nothing wrong with homeschooling your kids, but you know what I mean. Like he didn't have very good social skills, so he's doing these magic tricks.
Neither do most magicians, so that's a fucking perfect hobby for him.
And then he started like, he told me how I do this card trick. I'm counting the cards, and when he said counting the cards, I'm like, wait a second, what? And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, could you count 6 decks? So he had no idea what I was talking about. I'm like, So we start messing around, and he starts counting.
And he's able to track it.
And he could track it.
Yeah.
It was, and when I say track it, he couldn't get a 21 every time, but
No, but he had a better gauge on what his odds were.
he had a really good gauge on it.
yeah.
So it came down to it. I took him to a casino. He was just 21. I'm 19 years old. I groomed this motherfucker till he was 21, counting these cards, getting ready.
You might not want to say those words out loud on a recording on the internet.
As soon as I said it, I thought, man, I shouldn't have said it. But I knew he knew.
Diddy number 2.
Number 2. But I knew, and then he's like, that's not.
Are we past the statute of limitations at this point?
Yes, this is 20 some years ago.
Okay.
Oh yeah, 20, over 20. So, but anyway, so then when he realized, like, I'm like, we should go to a casino and count cards. Guess what his profession ended up being? It's crazy. He was
Accountant?
he moved to Vegas and he was security and he busted people counting cards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's when he he has me to thank for that because
There's actually a lot of people that use their powers for good.
yeah,
like that.
and dumb fool. But can imagine the money we could have made.
Yeah,
but
like there was a guy that trained, was it CIA? John Mulholland, I think. He taught American spies basically how to be sneaky using magicians' skills.
Really?
With psychological tricks and
What
ways
was his
to
name?
John Mulholland, I believe it was.
Okay, yeah.
There's a book that he wrote that was classified for years, if I remember right. The damn spies for America were trained by a magician.
And that's crazy. And so what is skill? So now, can you count cards? Just kidding. You can't you? I know you can. I can tell you the look on your face.
I'm not good with math. I went to Postal Public.
So you're not like the dude from The Hangover, like, like all of a sudden can read this book. But no, it was just, it was crazy though. And he went on but he was huge in the magic. And it's funny because I still have him. That would have been the early 90s. So I connected with him again. He's on my social media. And to this day, he ended up going into law enforcement from
fun.
the casino. But to this day, he's still a magician. Like I'll see his posts where he's doing magic shows and stuff like that and doing the card things. And I just think back, man, we could be millionaires right now. But he did it for good.
Yeah, but you had to get into law enforcement and security.
Yeah.
Like, you fucked this all up. I spent so many years grooming you, kid.
Oh, it's like that show, The Departed. Remember Jack Nicholson? He took the kid from about 8th grade and made him become a cop, and then he used him as an informant. Have you ever seen The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio? It's the same story.
I don't think I have.
That's what I tried to do with this guy. I'm like, all right, now you're going to count cards, then you're going to infiltrate the casino, then you're going to go into law enforcement, and I'm just going to be back here like the puppet master. See The Departed. It's a great movie. It's the whole story I just told wasn't based on my life. So
spoiler alert.
yeah, it was good. But anyway, what else? Tell me other stuff. Like tell me. I'm trying to dig myself out of a hole here.
What hole are we in?
The one that I tried to get this kid to count cards at the casino until he had and he was super religious too. So all of a sudden,
that's where you went wrong.
He had the little Jesus
talked him out of that.
Like the devil and the angel. Like, hey, this guy ain't no good for you.
I just got 2 little devils.
Yeah, me too.
Like, do it, fucker.
Do it. That's I got one big one right here in this flask that I use. But
a big devil.
So we talked your career, the magic.
I was a teenager, and now I do other things.
Yeah, now you do other things.
Casinos, comedy clubs, blue-collar company parties. Well, you said most comedians and even bands don't like corporate events, but I do because I'm real picky about what I choose for the most part. Like, I like blue-collar company parties.
Yep.
Or like I'm doing on Saturday, a fundraiser for a fire department. Those are my favorite department parties.
And them guys drink and they have fun. Yeah. I did so for my booking business. Sometimes corporations will call me and they'll be like, "We want to have this band and this," and I did one for a guy that it was a barge company out of New Orleans, and they wanted to have their Christmas party. So imagine a bunch of dudes that work on barges, like the corporate people were, but they all started out on a barge and, man, funnest party ever. You know what I mean? Yeah. We had just a cover band, and their only request was Larry from accounting. He has to get up and sing this song type thing. You know what I mean? I don't even know if his name was Larry, but so we got him up there and they embarrassed him, and the whole night was a blast. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I love stuff like that. Now, when they call me and just say, hey, we want to book the room and just have we want to do whatever we want. You know what I mean by that, but.
Yeah.
So
they're going to hire this magician stripper from Australia.
You're not going to let that go. Well, I tell you what.
Hell no. I'm going to look. I'm going to find out who that was.
As we talk, I should look it up because I looked her up. I mean, I'm sure she's dead of a heroin overdose by now because that was so long ago. But you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, well, come on. If you were a magician stripper, what's your life expectancy?
Yeah, you can't. Well, you can't do even magic. You can't do this shit sober. I've tried. It's no fun. You got to deal with people who are all people-y and shit.
Yeah, and sometimes people can be dumb. Like,
Did one a couple of weeks ago where it's just like half of the audience was dumb and the half that was smart was just assholes.
Or they want to be the center of attention.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
I had an awful experience. So, a little backstory. As you know, I thought it would be a good idea to open a rebranded comedy club that closed. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out in my favor at all. It was actually terrible. Like, I lost my ass, and everyone warned me, and I surrounded myself with a couple people that I shouldn't have, and other people warned me. Blah blah blah. Who cares? It's in the past. It washed out my taxes, so I'm okay. But one night we had an open mic, and a group contacted me like, "Hey, we're looking for something fun to do. Woohoo, party!" And they wanted to come to this open mic.
Don't tell me it was a bachelorette party.
Okay, I don't want to get super deep into it, but it was not a bachelorette party, but it was all women.
Okay.
Because of the industry they worked in. And they got there, and like, Todd Basinger, and obviously, and all the locals that we know, they've all been through here talking to me. They just wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
The jokes weren't right, and what you could tell they'd never been to a comedy show before. They wanted the jokes catered to women, and it's like the comedians up there talking about, hey, I couldn't get an erection today, whatever the punchline, blah blah. It's like, sorry, it's not, but that's not how it works. Mm-hmm. And then, unfortunately, I had a gentleman who had some what internet fame. That's not the way you say it, but he was an influencer.
Gross.
He was trying to make a name for himself, and so he showed up, and he thought he was a stand-up comedian, which he wasn't. Basically, his shtick on the internet was disparaging women, and he got up, and it's open mic, and he had hundreds of thousands of followers. So I'm like, well, and he disparaged.
That don't translate to doing well on stage, though.
He disparaged every woman in that place. So I'm in the office, and I'm doing some stuff, and I had a camera of the stage in my office of the club, and I'm watching, and all of a sudden I can hear it through the wall, like, fuck you, and screw off, and
oh no,
and I'm like, what is happening? So I look at the camera, and everyone's getting up, and they're just storming out, and he's just standing there. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what is going on?
It's kind of impressive. I've never walked an entire room. I've walked before, but I've never walked the whole room. Let me tell you what, he
walked the entire room. There was probably 60 women in there and about 10 men, because there was some of the men were partners, owners, whatever, of this chain. Mm-hmm. And it was a corporate event, and I never seen anything like it. So I'm out there trying to do damage control. Like, I didn't know, and I'm sorry. But he literally just got up on stage and says, "You're a bitch," and he's just
Jesus.
He's just trying to roast these people that are there.
But forgets to do punchlines.
There was no comedy to it at all. None.
That's so sad. And what sucks is now there's 26 or 30 people or whatever that will never, probably, definitely never hire a comedian for a company party.
Or step foot in my club again.
And never step foot in your club, and probably any club, because they just remember, especially if they've had no experience with a comedy club. Yep. It's not like, oh, yeah, that experience was bad, but most of them are good. It's comedy clubs suck.
Yeah, and for the guys that did it was an open mic again. It was a Wednesday night.
Yeah,
and
so
I told them, but for the guys that did their best, with this crowd, they did good, and they adapted. This guy, there's a famous saying, know your audience. This guy...
Well, maybe not even know the audience, but read the room.
Yeah. And he did not. And everybody else did their best. And it was frustrating because they were being annoying too. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, they were like, this guy could have told the joke funnier, and and then at one point the one gal got up on stage and it's like, I can do it funnier, and it was the whole night.
She got on the stage.
The one that organized it got up there and tried to do a little shtick.
Make it about me.
But that's exactly what it was. But again, open mic. So I'm like, just go with the flow. And the regular comedians, they handled it well. They were annoyed, which I didn't blame them.
Oh, yeah.
But they handled it well. But then this guy gets up there, and his manager's there. He had a manager, and she's there, and I'm looking at her like, are you fucking kidding me? So then he's outside after. So I just watched 60 people walk out, 60 times.
Oh, 60. I thought you had said 16.
60.
That, goddamn. How many did you have to chase down for their drink tab?
They all
had cards, hopefully, or it was all on one?
It was all a company thing.
Oh, good.
So,
that would have been a shit show.
but so they're cleared out, and he was standing outside after the show, and I started walking up the steps, and I turned around, and I went back down to my office, and I closed the door, because I knew if I would have walked out there, I would have just slapped him in the fucking mouth, because it was so ridiculous what he did. He didn't have any material, so he just went up there and was obnoxious. And the good news is he's nowhere to be found today. Like he's not canceled, but it only worked for so long, and then people are like, all right, this guy's not funny. He's just
then you get
idiot.
a reputation. Yeah, there's some jackass that used to be on some show where they used to hurt each other. I don't know what the show's name was. I don't remember it. I'm not going to say it, but this guy was a jackass.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Same thing. Like has, social clout or whatever, and has a name, and people are like, oh, that's the guy from the one show, whoever this jackass was.
Yeah.
And it just sucks.
Yeah.
Like there's this club in South Central Wisconsin. One of the best comedy rooms I've ever been in. They sell out every week. They do comedy. Audience is awesome. And people were asking for refunds after the show from this. But yeah, like fame does not equal talent.
No, not at all.
I mean,
and I get what you're laying down with but he had television fame. This guy just
it's not the same as stand-up fame.
Yeah, or
skills
or internet. I mean, anybody look at the people that are on the internet nowadays. That what's that fuck's name? I run into him on. So I do. I get shit for it because I'm 51, but I love TikTok. Jack Doherty. It's just this little fucking 24-year-old punk, and he walks around and he picks fights with people. Oh, and then when they try, and then they step up, he's got these huge bodyguards come in. What are you gonna do? And then he stands behind me. Yeah. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? He's going to wrong into the wrong person with a concealed carry and be like, this is what I'm going to do. Or the wrong gangbanger.
Or the right person, the right banger.
Thank you. I was just trying to...
That dude needs to...
But he does... But place. Jack Doherty... But now it was funny because he that's his shtick, and then he was at a gas station one day without bodyguards, and some guys caught up with him, nice. And he was I think he pissed himself, like literally,
good.
And peed himself, but like that's good. The kind of internet fame that and that kind of this guy was like he was just, hey, how big of a dick can I be, and all he would do is he'd play videos, and then it would cut to him, and then he'd make shit out of whoever was in the video. And his account was so bad that it would keep getting like banned or whatever. Yeah. And then he'd have to start a new one and rebuild, and he'd have backup accounts like, hey, make sure if you follow this one, because if I get banned, because that's how bad he was.
That's so... I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Isn't it sad?
And these people... get fame and get paid to do this shit.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. You said you were listening to me and Todd Basinger's.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Casey Anthony.
Yeah.
She did one TikTok video, 60 or 70,000 people followed her, and then by that time you're getting monetized, and people are like, you're getting monetized, and then all the moms are out there like, and good for them, like they're out there wanting to fight, but that's how quick you can make money off of just whatever.
Well, people have always had that, morbid curiosity, I guess. It's no different from O.J. Simpson writing the book, If I Did It.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up during the O.J. times. I watched the trial, the whole, everything. Yeah, you ain't wrong. I
grew up because of O.J. The world is what?
I'm going to tell you a hilarious story about O.J. Simpson. So
That's a sentence I've never heard before.
Yeah, I am 19 in college with who ended up being my wife, now my ex-wife, and we went to college together. And the day we got a cat, and we got home with the cat, we're like, what should we name it? And when we get home, OJ's Broncos going down the highway. So our cat's name was OJ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because we're watching like, oh, well, let's name it OJ. And that cat's name was OJ because we were watching the Bronco chase. You had a comment and you can leave it to yourself. But
I was wondering if you ever killed a mouse if you named it Nicole.
He never did kill a mouse. He almost suffocated one, so he got a little bag of chips on his head and he couldn't breathe. And I heard some commotion, and I go out in the living room and he's laying there. If I wouldn't have pulled that bag off, he would have been dead in the morning. He got a little Cheetos bag. Yeah, so there's a happy story. Maybe that should have happened to OJ, but yeah, that's how. I mean, again, I'm 51, dude. So I grew up
so old, so old,
dude.
What was it like before the internet?
It was weird.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was the Spice Channel. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember the Spice Channel.
The Spice Channel was when you had cable.
I didn't have cable.
You would go up to
That's why I am the way I am. We had the 3 shows. We lived out in the country, so
Did you really?
Yeah, I couldn't get into trouble with the other kids. I couldn't ride my bike and find drugs, and I couldn't watch Skinamax on TV.
Oh, see.
I had to read books and shit. It was not an okay childhood.
Neither was mine, but mine was the polar opposite. So I was a product of a divorced family. Mm-hmm. And when my dad left, my mom was raising me and my 2 older sisters.
Your dad was a magician too?
Yeah, he disappeared. Boom, like that. Like, hey, I live in Germany now because he was in the military with my new family.
That's a damn good trick.
Yeah, should we talk? Here, let me get a couch out. We can really talk about it. Just kidding. But
Let's
anyway,
invite the other guys and have a group therapy session.
Yeah. So when you had cable, you would go to the upper channels, and there was the Spice Channel, and if you paid like, oh God, it was like an extra $39.99 a month. It was just porn.
Oh, so you could see the titties.
Yeah, but it was all scrolled out. But every once in a while, you'd be like, I saw a nipple. So you're like 11, like there's a nipple. Oh my God, a nipple. Yeah,
and you didn't. It was so
squibbed out.
Yeah.
But then the coolest thing that ever happened was my buddy got this bullet. And you would go into the cable box and you would take the cable and you put this thing in and then it unscrambled everything. So you get all the Showtime, HBO, Cinemax, Spice Channel,
wow,
all that for free. And they were $200, so I couldn't afford it. But when I knew
it was like an electronic device,
it was. So you remember
kind of jumpers?
Remember coaxial cable?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you'd screw the coaxial cable into the wall.
Wow. But
if you put this bullet. It was just a silver round thing. You'd put it in between
some kind of transformer,
and it would open up everything.
That is cool.
So, but you had to do it out. I lived in an apartment complex, so all the boxes were there, and this is before they were smart enough to lock them up. So when I knew that my buddy and his mom and dad were gone, his dad had one, I would go out and I would switch it to our cable box and get everything for free. And then when they come home, I just go out and switch it back.
That is so sneaky.
Yeah, so that's why I'm so fucked up in the head.
That's the childhood of somebody that later in life is going to groom somebody to be a card counter.
I tried, man. Hey, I was grooming them for making money. Not, God, do you groom people for making? You know
That's
what?
Exactly why you do it.
Can we take groomer off my resume before this podcast?
You should probably take it off your business card.
Yeah.
What's on your notes there? You got notes.
Oh, Jesus. Well, okay. So
we already went off the rails 2 minutes ago.
We did. No, but so my notes. So I didn't know. I wanted to talk about your history and the magic, and then see how we got on the tangent. But then I just had a whole bunch of stuff. What I do is I prepare for stuff in case,
and then ignore it.
No,
in case.
Sometimes I'll get someone in here, and they're just like
locks up.
Yeah, the microphone gets them from. They're like,
yeah.
I'm Ted, how are you? You know what I mean?
You do not have that problem with Joe Exotic. He wouldn't
No.
shut the fuck up.
Oh my God. And he's like, he even gave away his secrets. He's like, sometimes I have a phone in prison. Like, do you want to say that on a national podcast? Like, this is national. Like, we get, a couple, that podcast got 160,000 listeners. You know
People are doing all the drugs in prison, but I've never been raped yet.
Yeah, and well,
I swear I've never been.
He said the sex was consensual. Remember that?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, he's like, no one's raping anybody. Everyone just wants to fuck. It's like he literally. Yeah, he's like, there's no rape in prison, he said. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
So it's really more of a making love situation.
I have a very close relative that works in a very huge prison, and she is very high up in that prison. She told me that she's an investigator. She says, yes, that happens all the time. So, and Joe Exotic.
Consensual.
Not consensual. And in
great,
fact,
yeah.
she listened to the Joe Exotic episode, and she kind of was like correcting him, like, no. But
So
anyway.
it's kind of like that tiger lady doth protest too much, methinks.
Exactly.
Methinks.
Yeah, but I don't know. When I was a kid, dropping the soap was a big thing. I mean, I was taking a shower. This
I would drop
morning.
that soap every day.
I dropped the soap and I turned around to check, make sure no one's in there. And I know I'm in the shower by myself. I'm fucking 51 years old. But when I drop the soap, before I bend down to pick it up, I turn around and look. And I know I'm home with no one in the shower with me.
Are you married, Johnny?
I am. Yeah.
That's my favorite part of showering together is I intentionally drop the soap. Can you get that for me, baby?
Yeah, that never works. What the fuck? She has all these special soaps and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is my face moisturizer, and this is my weird rainbow soap that does this. And I'm like,
It's like lined up like the chemical aisle in Harbor Freight.
It's just funny because when we first got together, when I had went through a divorce and I was living in this shithole apartment, and we were dating, and she came over and she's like, goes in the bathroom, and all I had was a bar of soap. No shampoo, no nothing. I washed my whole fucking body, washed my hair, everything with a bar of soap.
Soap is soap.
And she's like, what is like? She couldn't even comprehend what was happening
She's
in my
checking
bathroom.
your medicine cabinet, and there's just Q-tips. Like,
Yeah,
what?
like where? But I just had a bar of soap in the shower, and but once we got a little more serious, and she was staying over, then it was game on. It was
Then
like
you had to install shelves.
yeah, there was different soaps and everything, but that's and then I married her, and she takes great care of me. So it's just a crazy life because. She just puts vitamins in front of me sometimes. Like, here, take this. I'm like, what is this?
That could backfire
It
if
could
you ever
be-
get on her bad side.
It could be cyanide. I don't know. I'm just like, all right.
You'll just instinctively Pavlov, just like, okay, no.
Yeah, well, I do. Like,
Yeah,
she literally,
you're dead.
And it's funny because we went on vacation with her mom and dad one time, and her mom went up to her dad. We're just sitting at the table. It was, getting close to everyone going to bed, and her mom just puts her hand out, and there's some pills, and her dad doesn't even say a word, just takes them.
That's scary. But I also love that we can love somebody enough to trust them that much.
I had one of those moments where and I looked at her, I'm like, you do that shit to me. You know what I mean? But she's like, I want to keep you alive. Are you mad about that? And how do you argue that point? You know what I mean?
Depends on the day. How was the afternoon going?
Believe me, there's times where I know she's like she laces the pill, and she never actually does it, but I know it's like, all right, I'm gonna put this one in the
But
special.
she thinks about it.
It's there.
It could happen.
And it's every time she listens to this podcast and I talk about it, probably.
Oh.
But you're asking about my clipboard. So,
shit, yeah, you got a clip.
So I don't know how people are gonna we had a great conversation, but sometimes honestly I've had people on and it's
we haven't even started yet. We're just saying hello.
So I just write shit down, like topics or whatever, and that's what most of this stuff is.
You learned this from all your comedian friends, probably.
Well, there's some of them that get on here. They literally they're hilarious on stage, and then they get in here and they're like,
just kind of freeze up.
Yeah, I don't know. And
I'm the opposite. I'm awkward as hell on a podcast, but I'm pretty good on stage.
You've been great. You've been great. And sometimes people come in and the studio might intimidate them a little bit because it's a nice studio, but sometimes you walk in and you do a podcast and it's in some guy's living room and there's two microphones. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. So I just always prepare backup stuff, and it's all stupid stuff. Like, this isn't even on here, but like tonight, I was running a little late because I was backing out of my driveway, and like a mid-'90s Ford Taurus pulls up right in front of my house.
Uh-oh. There's definitely drugs in that thing.
No plates.
Oh, definitely drugs.
And then the fuck it sticker, where the stick man's just banging the it. Yeah, like and it's
not the Addams Family character, but like the letter
the IT. So it's just a stick man banging the IT of it, and it was the full back window. It was like
wow,
like a 2x2 decal.
I've only ever seen them.
The little ones. Yeah. This was the full back window. So they park right in front of my house. So I'm backing out, and my wife is a nosy son of a bitch. We live in a small neighborhood.
Is your wife related to my
Tiffany? if a car drive by, who is that? I don't recognize that car. Whose car is that? Those are Iowa plates because we live in Illinois. She'd be like, and 9 million things. You know what I mean?
Tiffany does the same thing. So eventually, like it's become kind of a sort of a tradition in the mornings. She'll peek out the window and take an eye on the neighborhood and go bark, bark.
yeah. That's how my wife is. It's like, well, whose car is that? And this, and
then she feeds me my pills and we're good to go.
Yeah, just she hands them. Yeah. So, but I'm backing out. So I'm in the driveway and this car pulls up right in front of our house. So I stop and I'm just sitting there and I can already see my wife in the window, looking like what? Well, and then the car sits there for a couple minutes. So I'm just sitting there, like I want to make sure that there's not something weird. And then all of a sudden a gal gets out and she's got a bunch of Eat Street stuff and she goes across the street to the neighbor. And as soon as she gets out and you can see she has food, my wife just...
Oh, she was delivering.
She was delivering food, but my wife just waves, all right, see you later. See ya, she waves to me through the window. But then I start thinking about it.
That'd be a good way to disguise shitty intentions.
It would be. Yeah. It really would be. But
so if I'm ever going to rob a place, hey, do you know where I can get like a Domino's shirt?
I do. Go to Goodwill. They're there all the time. Cool. Domino's, pizza. When people get fired, they throw that shit in the Goodwill bin. Yeah, they have them there all the time. But so I'm thinking about it. I'm like, all right, here's a car, no license plates, no license applied for, so that motherfuckers don't have insurance.
Right.
And then you're thinking, so I'm thinking of an insurance scam. If I'm driving and a DoorDasher hits me delivering DoorDash, do I have a claim against DoorDash? See, this is how my mind works.
I don't know how that works. I know one time when I was in college, I applied to be a delivery driver for my local Pizza Hut in this tiny, tiny town in southern Iowa. And we had to have a squeaky clean driving record, show proof of insurance and everything. So I don't know how different that is.
Did you drive your own car?
Yeah, for our own car.
So I worked for Domino's when I was 18. Mm-hmm. And I had to deliver pizzas. And you had insurance, blah, blah, blah. And then Domino's had the 30 minutes or less. And
when they were still doing that, before they cared about quality.
And a kid.
Well, they still don't get me wrong.
I don't know a kid, but someone smoked a car. Mm-hmm. Someone got paralyzed. It was national news, and they sued Domino's and won.
And that's when they stopped doing the 30 minutes?
That's when they stopped doing the 30 minutes or less. So this is how my mind works. So see, like I'm fucking sitting in my driveway with this weird car. But I'm thinking...
I imagine in one way or another, they would be involved in a lawsuit. It would probably be a lawsuit against the DoorDash and against the driver and against the owner of the local. Yeah, it's shit.
So I'm several.
I never finished law school, so I don't have a solid answers for
me either.
it.
I researched it a lot.
Well, I never started it, but I also never finished it.
Did you know that if you can pass the bar,
you don't have to go to school?
You don't have to go to school. If you can sign up to take the bar exam, and if you can pass it, you don't have to go to law school.
Kind of curious. I mean, I watched enough of that Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I might be able to pass the...
And I watched enough of the... well, first I started with Jeffrey Dahmer trial, then O.J. Simpson, but that's my era. But if you can pass the bar exam, but to take the exam, it's like $10,000. It's not like you can just be like, hey, I'll take it and see what I do.
I guess we're going back to that domino shirt plan then.
Yeah, it would be a good one. But, what if... not an insurance scheme, but, hey... Smoke my car. I'll kick you back. Is that Should I be saying
We
this?
probably shouldn't be recording.
This is how my weird mind works.
I'll turn it off. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can just have a conversation.
Okay, yeah. Zills. Well,
So
like I told you.
You need me to be a witness for this?
Yeah. You could be the witnesses. Like, I saw them driving crazy. They were throwing food out.
They were throwing. Yeah, I saw an Uber Eat just fly right out.
I'm starting to think about this podcast a little bit, and I incriminated myself a couple times, didn't I?
You should probably have to rename it self-incriminating.
Yeah, between the card counting and the insurance scheme with the DoorDash or whatever.
No, these are just thoughts. These are
theories.
what ifs.
Well, what if? Yeah, they are what ifs. But honestly, what if? Like,
Now is probably a good time to mention this conversation is for entertainment purposes only.
100%.
Any resemblance to any factual event, living or dead, is purely coincidental.
Yes.
And,
yes. 100% coincidental. But on the other hand, no, just kidding.
Except the card counting, that was pretty.
But that's how my weird mind works. Like, I'm thinking, I see a car without license plates with a "fuck it" sticker on it.
And you immediately go to, how can I financially exploit this situation? No, I respect that. I really do.
It's just, that's how my mind works. I grew up dirt poor, and I think the street smarts I gained throughout my life, that's why my mind.
See, but you grew up dirt. What town did you grow up in?
I grew up here in Dubuque, Iowa.
But you grew up in town. Mm-hmm. So you grew up dirt poor, and you got street smarts within the city of Dubuque. I grew up dirt poor, but out in the country outside of Postville, Iowa, I only got road smarts. I got dirt road smarts, which is different from street smarts.
I lived in an apartment complex where every kid that lived there.
I can skin a deer, though, God damn it.
Yeah, see, and I can't. Every kid that lived there, their parents worked. So we were all latchkey kids. So imagine getting 30 or 40 latchkey kids together with no parents.
That'd be a cool birthday party.
And the education you fucking get off of that. It's something else. And I think that's why my mind goes to where it is. This whole conversation, I apologize. I hope I didn't mean to get on. This is how my podcasts work. And
that's fine.
We talk about whatever and
you forgot to promote my new book, Johnny.
Oh, we're going to promote your shit, but we're not done. Zills has to come back in here before we can end. So
he left, and that's the longest cigarette I've ever.
Okay,
Is he okay?
Yeah,
I saw a mirror in the bathroom on the table.
Yeah, I hope he's okay, because I don't know how to push any of those buttons on that thing over there. Should we go through my shit? You want to go through the stupid list?
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
This is the list I make up every time. Like, what do I say if they're just dead air?
We'll tackle it all formally.
All right.
And I'll give dead air answers.
Okay, so here's a good one that pissed me off. So we call this. So last week with Todd, that grinds my gears. I was at the bank today and I got some money out, and they gave it to me, and all the bills were facing the wrong way, upside down, this way, that way.
I hate that. They have to be facing the same way, otherwise, like Tiffany's dad says. Otherwise, we don't want them to get a headache.
Yeah, but so I said to the guy,
Rick Tittle, the musician. Yeah, Rick Tittle band. That's Tiffany's dad. So I came to Dubuque and immediately got involved in a showbiz family.
Rick Tittle, really? Does he still do shows?
Yeah. He's healing from a hand surgery right now, so he can't strum or can't.
Wow, you're taking me way back. Obviously, he's been around since I was a kid. The Rick Tittle band.
Yeah. He's a rock star.
Yeah, he in our area, he is. Everyone knows Rick
legend.
Tittle.
A legend. Yep.
But so I get these bills, and I say to the girl. So then I pull out my old man cane. I said,
screaming at the clouds.
When I used to manage a grocery store, when we did the deposit at night, if we would take the deposit to the bank and the bills weren't all faced the right way, they would either say you can take them back and face them, or we'll charge you $9.99 to face them. Like and I'm getting bills every which way out of the thing, and the girl's probably like 20. She's like, she wants to say, go fuck yourself, shut the fuck up, whatever. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'm like, you know what, it's fine. But
you think she can flip bills? I bet she can't even read a clock on the wall that's analog.
Well, she didn't even have, they just popped out of a machine.
Because kids these days.
She's like, they popped out of a machine, and she literally
so she never even has to
No, she just literally like, here you go.
Without double checking.
Yeah, and I'm like, so do I trust that machine? I said, that machine might not be right.
I don't trust that machine. I don't trust the one that's gonna make me blow into the tube to check my BAC later.
and the best thing, if you ever get pulled over for that, you say, "Did you calibrate that?" Because cops love that. Then you follow up with, "And by the way, I pay your salary," because that works great.
Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, they'll be your friend then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, high five, let's go to the bar." But
no, I've had such good luck. I've been on the road a lot, and I get along with cops all over this country.
So do I. I really do.
And
actually.
it's probably like I'm probably lucky because like skin tone or whatever. But I see all these like dipshit cop interactions on the YouTubes and the internets.
Yep.
And it's mostly just assholes being assholes. Well, I think you mentioned that.
We did. They deserve it. They roll down their window a crack.
Yeah, and then they start screaming.
And they're like, they start filming.
Yeah.
And can I get your supervisor?
You know what I do? I have my license, my insurance, my registration ready. And I take the ticket if they're going to give me a ticket, but more often than not, they don't.
Do you know the one thing that will get you out of a ticket more? Well, the first thing is
rescheduling your court appearance.
Being sexy as fucking having big tits and just being like, "Oh, I'm sorry." But the second thing
do you wear low cut or do you just slice it to be low cut when you get pulled over?
But just joking with them. I was on vacation with my wife and our kids, and it was a 9-hour drive, and we were about 7.5 hours in. Almost home, and I was going 82 in a 55.
You probably shouldn't have done that.
The kids were bickering.
Oh, so we're blaming the children.
Oh, no, I was dead sober, but I'm just like white knuckles, like I can't fucking be in this car anymore.
But you're blaming the children in the backseat.
And my wife is a little crabby, and so I get pulled over.
You were just having a bad day.
And the cop's like, "Do you know how fast you're going?" I'm like, "No." I literally said, "Will you arrest me?" And he's like, he's like, "What?" I said,
take me
"I would rather go to jail than be in this car anymore." Yeah. Period. I said, "Them kids are bitching, and we've been on the road, blah, blah, blah." And he just takes my stuff, and he comes back, and he knocked it down to like 12 over. He's like, "You may, whatever." And he's like, "Just slow it down." And he was super cool about it. But I was hoping he would arrest me because I didn't want to be in that car anymore. Everyone was bitchy. And I was like, "Please, just arrest me." But
well, I'm sure, I don't know for sure, but I'm almost positive they have notes in their system like, "Hey, this guy is pretty chill. You don't have to worry about him. He's polite. He complies with whatever."
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I'm in that positive note. Because every cop, I don't get pulled over anymore, but because I go the speed limit and shit. But when I have, very rarely, like they're always just like cool as shit with me.
I use the cruise control on the main street in Dubuque. Here's Dodge. I just set the cruise because it's like it's easier just not to get pulled over. You know what I mean? Because people are flying back.
It's way faster to not get pulled over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's just funny. But
what were we talking about?
No, I just had this whole list here. Okay, if you see the other day, my kids were making shit out of me. 5, 14, 17.
All together they ganged up on you?
Yeah. And I called the a pound sign. Mm-hmm. And they're like, "What?" They're like, "What?" And what? They're like, so I show them like the pound sign, and I'm showing them. They're like,
"You mean hashtag?
You mean the hashtag?" Yeah. I'm like, "No, I mean the pound sign. That's a pound sign. You push it pound. No, and we had a huge dust up about it.
I pushed it and it went beep.
Yeah, but that was one thing. I'm like, what is, like, so that's.
Did you just beat all of your children for that?
I wanted to, but my wife frowns upon it, and then she
gives you the bad vitamins.
Yeah, and she's like, "Don't, technically they're right, But when did it turn from the pound sign to the hashtag? When Twitter came out, you think? Zills, what do you think?
Zills, we need you.
But so these are the weird, deep thoughts why I don't sleep at night. Why I don't sleep at night is shit like that. So then I thought about it, and I tried to research it, and there was no research on the internet. Like you can't Google when did it come. Yeah, I tried to Google it.
Like, when did symbol become symbol?
And Google's like,
and then
go
Google
home, you're
Gemini
drunk.
just looks at you and goes, "You're done with the internet."
Yeah, go home, you're drunk. All right, Zills, how we doing on time?
We're over.
Oh, all right. Okay, so here.
Split it into 2.
Let's.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
All right.
We'll do it live. Sorry, I yelled.
No, yeah. It's funny because so today you know what? I'm not going to bring this up. Never mind. I was thinking of Joey
What's one more
Buttafuoco
detour?
today. Do you remember Joey Buttafuoco?
Why do I know that name? Why do I know
Amy
that name?
Fisher. He was banging her when she was 16, and then she shot his wife, and then she went on to do porn.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
No.
that you don't remember Joey Buttafuoco?
No.
Yeah.
Did he end up...
He owned
no, it wasn't him. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Zills,
sorry.
do you remember Jamie Buttafuoco? So he owned this car dealership, and this 16-year-old girl came there and bought her car there, and then they ended up having a relationship. And after a year of the relationship, she went to his house and confronted his wife, and she's like, "You're a liar," and then she shot her, and she lived.
The little girl shot
The little
wife?
girl shot the wife.
Okay.
And then she went to jail for a couple of years. He went to jail, but then she came out of jail, and then her life was obviously ruined, and she had a porn career. But
Why are you saying her life was ruined because she had a porn career?
no, her life was ruined because this adult male slept with her, and then she shot somebody. But
Maybe
why-
she was living her best life. You can't judge somebody
okay,
like
yeah,
that.
she might have been. She wasn't because I don't know. I was gonna say
There was a point to
the
this.
porns weren't that good.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they were low budget, and you could tell it was like a dirty couch and whatever. But I don't know. That's just how my mind works. When
She got paid like $150 for a 12-hour session.
it was probably less than that. But
I don't even know how that works. Is there good money in porn at all?
Not for guys.
Oh, never mind then.
Yeah, no. I started OnlyFans, and people paid me
What
to put
if?
it back
Hold
on.
out. What if it's with Joe Exotic when he gets out, and we frame it, and it looks like a prison setting.
All right, here's the deal. I'm all for that, but
I'm not. I was just curious.
no. Hang on. Well, hear me out.
I'm not.
Because
banging.
you're doing
I'm not
video.
I'm not banging Joe.
No. I got a good idea.
You don't have to.
So you have video. Zills has the audio, and we'll just have Todd Basinger be the star.
He's got the mustache.
He's got the mustache.
Yeah.
So hopefully he doesn't listen to this to know that we're plotting for him to bang Joe Exotic. But there we go. So Todd was on last week.
He's got the mustache and some flannel.
And some flannel. Yep.
Yeah.
And Joe's kind of into that. I could tell Joe to be into it. We've become close enough friends where I could be like, just be into it for
10 minutes.
for
That's all
10
you gotta
minutes.
do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hopefully Todd doesn't listen to this, but that's the plan. So you do the video, Zills will do the audio, and I'll just direct, like I'll have the clapper thing like, whoosh, yeah, cut.
I'll set the cameras up, but I'm not staying in the room for that. I imagine that would smell nasty as hell.
And we'll have it'll all take place on a tiger skin rug. So anyway, this got off the rails even further.
Was that in your notebook?
No, that was not my notebook.
Okay.
That was just natural, my mind being fucked up from having a fucked up childhood.
Have you considered therapy?
It doesn't work. There's nothing fixing me. All right. Here we go. Let's finish it up. Tell me.
But I just got here.
I know. Tell me, where can we find you? Like, tell Instagram, all that stuff. Website. I mean, I have it written here within its highlights.
Yeah, just search Adults Only Magic. That's my website, adultsonlymagic.com. My Facebook is at Adults Only Magic. My YouTube is at Adults Only Magic. I don't use Instagram, but it still like puts pictures on Instagram from my personal Facebook page. So I should probably just get rid of that because it's mostly just me bitching about Kamala Harris and stuff.
The problem with I'm not an Instagram user either, and it's probably because of my age. But man, you hear people like
Hey, what's your Insta? Or,
Yeah,
whatever the kids say these days.
I wonder if I need to become more well versed in it because
I
my,
do too.
My kids Facebook they act like I'm a
Facebook's for the olds.
Yeah, it is. But you have a great EPK kit and your website's awesome. I was on it today. And you got anything upcoming? Like, well, okay, for example, in town here, you're doing every other week.
Oh, yeah, I just started a open mic night that's not just comedians or not just musicians, which is most open mics.
Yep.
I opened it up to everybody. If you're a guitar player, if you're a comedian, if you're like me, some dorky, socially awkward magician, that's cool. You're welcome.
So my
And
ultimate...
it's called Group Therapy. And it's on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays, and it's at the Eagles Club behind Kennedy Mall in Dubuque.
in Dubuque, Iowa.
Yep, Dubuque.
And one night I'm going to show up there, and my dream
Mm-hmm.
is to do spoken word of 80s rock ballads.
That would be awesome.
Right behind me in this here is a booth, and I tell Zills all the time, I just want to,
Just do a dramatic reading of.
a dramatic reading, do something where I can make a single tear come down. There's Vincent is another guy that helps out down here, and he's dying for it. Like if I just started a TikTok where I just pick 80s rock ballads, but I want to have like a robe on with an ascot.
Every rose
It has a thorn.
has its thorn.
Sometimes she cries late at night. See, look at you.
I love it.
But sometime when I show up, I'm just gonna do like 5 minutes of me doing spoken word.
I don't know how that would go over live, but
I don't know. I told my wife when I started coming down here, and I know Zills has the ability to like actually cut a CD. Or start
you're like, fuck it, let's do it.
or start a Spotify channel where it's just me doing it. She's like, you don't need to know people that know how to do that kind of stuff because nothing good's gonna come from it. I'm like, no, it would be fun. She's like, fun is one thing. Another thing is nothing good's gonna come from it.
Well, all these stupid ass ideas. I'm not saying that your ideas are stupid ass.
They're stupid, dude.
But just take all these ideas and go with them, and maybe one of them will take off. And if that happens,
and it's not
but use different usernames for everything.
Yeah, but it's not even about taking off. It's just I think it would be hilarious, and if I make myself chuckle a little bit, then I don't give a shit. If I'm laughing and 100 people are like, "You're a fucking idiot," I don't care. I really don't care.
Or leave something for your kids to find, like decades from now.
Oh yeah, you should go. So when TikTok, when the pandemic happened.
Dad did a music album?
Yeah. When the pandemic started.
And they'll have to go to Goodwill and try to find a CD player.
They're digging through it, and there it is, still in the plastic. But I was locked up for 3 months. I owned a bar and a music business and a booking business, so I had nothing to do. So
Yeah.
I got on TikTok.
I went bonkers.
If you go back to my TikTok in 2020, like right when the world shut down, you would think I was mentally insane. And my kids' friends find it and they're like, "What?" And I never deleted them. I'm like, nope. I want to explain that time with the world was so crazy.
Yeah, it's part of my diary.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
It was my digital diary for the world. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. We try to keep it to an hour.
We'll get to the other 2/3 of that notebook paper.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. It was parody songs that I made up. This is stuff I keep just in case. Don't let his son go down on you, Elton John. Like that's terrible. Or Zombie by the Cranberries.
Yeah.
Change it to Harambe. Remember Harambe,
I miss
the monkey? Harambe. See, so that's Hey Jealousy. Change it to Hey Hennessy. Like, I mean,
I like it.
Yeah. So I just wrote stuff down because honestly, I've been in here and people have just been like they don't know what to say or do. So then I'm like freestyling. So I didn't need to do that with you. This was awesome.
If that ever happens again, add to your list how to make a solid EPK for bookers and agents and venues.
We were going to say, you mean the big note I already have here? What we're going to talk about?
We're not going to get to that today.
Yeah.
We'll do it another time.
We will. But hey, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it.
Likewise.
Everyone out in podcast land, thank you. Make sure to check out Nathan and adultsonlymagic.com. Check him out. There he is. He's good. Book him. You want him.
Or
hilarious.
Don't. That's fine.
No, do. All right. Thanks, Zills. Have a good night.
Okay, bye.
It's the Johnny O Podcast.